All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. My name is Aisha Gomez. I'm the state representative from District 62A in South Minneapolis, and I'm the chief author of, along with Maria Isa Perez Vega, who you'll hear from today, we're co-leading House File 4, which is driver's licenses for all. We are so honored to be here with members of the community coalition that have been leading this work over all of the many, many years since Minnesota policy was changed in 2003 to disallow people who didn't have documents from accessing driving privileges. This was the law of the land in Minnesota for decades. When we pass this today off the House floor, and we will pass this today off the House floor, we're going to join 18 other states and the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico in saying that we understand that a driver's license is a basic necessity for so many people across our state. You know, when we have had hearings on this, we've heard really moving testimony about the necessity of this, about people, you know, just needing to get themselves to work, to get their kids to school and to activities after school and to medical appointments, and you know, and we have brought together, this community coalition that you're going to hear from today has brought together this just incredible array of businesses, labor unions, faith leaders, community groups from across the spectrum. And so, you know, we're honored today by the presence of so many people in community who have been carrying this work. And it's going to be our honor to pass this today. And so we thank everyone for being here. First up, we're going to hear from Jovita Morales with the Minnesota Immigrant Movement.
Hola, buenas tardes. Good afternoon. My name is Jovita Morales. I identify as an indigenous woman. I'm the founder of the Minnesota Immigrant Movement, MIM. In 2008, I initiated this movement with a group of 10 other women. But today, we are thousands of Latinos in the movement for a driver license. We have a lot of organizations, churches, unions, and businesses throughout Minnesota supporting this bill. After almost 2 decades, we are filled with hope that we can once again drive without fear. As leaders in the community, we have worked hard, implored, and shared testimonies hundreds of times about the importance of being accepted. We now call on our senators, the majority leader, and Governor Tim Walz to push this cause forward and lead to a victory. As an immigrant, I hope that through driver license, we have the opportunity to learn and share all the beautiful culture that exists in Minnesota. We can bond through participation in school, churches, store, and being able to share our gifts with the Minnesota without the fears of living in the shadows and without being racial profiled. As an immigrant, I hope that all humans beings, including our children, will be accepted regardless the race, ethnicity, and gender. We must be accepted and treated with respect and love in life, in a place of peace. Once again, I ask the leadership of the Senate and the Governor Tim Walz to commit to passing and sign this initiative, and that this year, 2023, will be the victory of the driver license for all. Thank you to the entire community for supporting this cause that will possibly impact our security, economic, and mental health throughout Minnesota. Thank you. And now I'm going to present Emilia Avalos.
Buenas tardes, good afternoon, and I just want to reiterate what Jovita has just named, that the driver's license for all movement was a movement built by women of color in the state of Minnesota. And it is because women of color in the state of Minnesota have the audacity to reclaim their humanity in the public arena, is that only because of that reason we're here right now. So please, as we say our remarks, it's important to keep it in our hearts and our minds. So thank you, Jovita, for all that work. And thank you for all the women that have done this work before us and that will continue to do the work in the future. My name is Emilia Gonzalez-Avalos. I am the Executive Director of Unidos Minnesota. We are a grassroots organization that builds power with Minnesota working families to advance social, racial, and economic justice. And in the state of Minnesota, we carry the largest GOTV operation in the state. So I am very proud to be accountable to a broad membership of mixed status families that have identified driver's license for all as the #1 priority to deliver in the Minnesota 2023 legislative session. It is important to also mention that this is not just a bill that will support some immigrants. This is common sense policy that is good for every single Minnesota. No matter your zip code, no matter your tax bracket, this is good policy that works for everyone and that will make Minnesota safer, that will provide access to a Class D egalitarian driver's license. People will need to have people will need to learn the rules, people will need to take the test, and when people pass the test, they will have access to a Class D driver's license. This is not a special treatment for anybody. This is the right thing to do for all Minnesotans. So we're very excited that we have a broad coalition and a vast support of members of the Minnesota House and the leadership of the Minnesota House, and amazing chief authors, Representative Gomez, Representative Perez Vega, who are determined to bring home a long waiting for result that will change and transform the lives of immigrants across our state. And last but not least, I will name the next person. That will be Brittany Pacheco Vasquez with Copal.
And anybody who's arrived late who is part of this group, feel free to come on up and stand with us. Don't be shy.
Hi there, I am Brittany Pacheco Vasquez, and I'm here with Copal. At the 9 years of age, I experienced something that I never thought would happen to me. My uncle was detained, and he was detained, and he was going to be deported. He was stopped by the police, and on his way to work, when he was asked for his license, he reported with "no tengo." He wasn't drunk, he didn't run a red light, he wasn't speeding. He followed the rules except for not having a license. That day, my mother and aunt were separated from their younger brother. I lost an uncle that I loved and appreciated very much, but a girl of only 3 years old lost her father. Imagine being in 4th grade and having a conversation about that. As the oldest daughter, I held that responsibility. 10 years later, I still do. Now that I am almost in my 20s and have gone through the process of getting a permit and my license, I feel privileged to have it. I have never worried about getting stopped and being separated from my loved ones, or being late to my job or a place due to transportation. Till this day, I have a mother who doesn't drive because she doesn't want to risk it. Since public transportation isn't always reliable and safe, again, as the oldest, I am the one that has to take care of her and take her to places where no one can. I have been lucky to be raised by 2 hardworking parents that together have been in this country for over 20 years, working hard, and have taught me the importance of following my country's laws, including having a driver's license. Not having a driver's license doesn't only affect that individual person, but also those who surround and depend on them. This bill will help everyone be safe behind the wheel. And as a daughter of immigrant parents and future of this country, I believe it is time to realize how much of a necessity this is and view this as an opportunity to become safer, united, and progressive. Thank you. I'm going to introduce now Nu Vang.
Passing the driver's licenses for all has been a long time coming. My name is Nu Vang, a daughter of Hmong refugees, a sister, a niece, a friend, a community advocate, and the Director of Policy and Advocacy at the Coalition of Asian American Leaders, CAL. My parents are products of the Secret War. They came here with nothing and had to navigate a system that was foreign to them. They couldn't speak a single word of English. However, they had an opportunity to get their driver's licenses and were able to build a future for their family in this country. I am a product of the opportunities given to them. My parents drove my 4 siblings and me 30 minutes to and from school every day because they knew that going to this school would provide better opportunities for us. They worked hard and still do. I stand here today so proud of my parents, of all of us, of all of you, for the work on this bill. This is our house. Remember that. It's important that we are all here for the legislators to see us, to hear our voices, and to hear our stories and our experiences. We are powerful. We are all human beings. We deserve to live with dignity. We need to create a future for generations and families to thrive. The time is now. Let's pass the driver's licenses for all today. And then the next speaker I'll introduce is Sani from the Black Immigrant Collective.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sani from Ghana, a member of the Black Immigrant Collective. I'm here to speak on behalf of thousands of undocumented Black immigrants in Minnesota who will benefit from having access to a driver's license. There is no question that driving will improve our quality of life. Having access to a driver's license will make it easier for me to get around, especially in this extremely cold Minnesota weather. Relying on rides limits my movement and reduce the activities that I can engage in. For example, I love to play soccer, but I have not been to practice in a few weeks now because it's been too cold to wait for the bus and have had no one to give me a ride. I would love to drive my nephews and niece to the mall and take them to adventures in different parks around the city. If this bill passes, imagine how much more my family and I could do together. Last but not the least, as a Black immigrant, I have unfortunately had to learn that we face profiling by law enforcement. A driver's license will not get rid of this fear, but it will make us feel a bit safer. Being pulled over for driving without a license is different between freedom and ending back in detention and facing deportation. Thank you, and I urge the members of the House to vote yes on driver's license for all. And next, I will be introducing Sarai. Thank you.
Hello. Good afternoon. For reference, my name is Sarai Silva, spelled S-A-R-A-H-I. Awesome. Excuse me one second. I am a member of Minnesota Immigration Rights Action Committee. I also work alongside my API allies, refugee and asylum seekers. As a young adult, I was impacted by the 2003 decision by Tim Pawlenty. What we're trying to overturn today. MIRAC is an all-volunteer grassroots mass movement organization that alongside the other coalition groups today have been fighting for driver's license for all for decades. For 20 years, immigrants have been denied the ability to move freely and safely throughout our communities. An unmarked driver's license would change the lives of so many throughout our communities, not only in our cities, but also through greater Minnesota. A driver's license would allow many to access insurance, housing, healthcare, and safety, keeping our roads safe and communities safe all around. Passing the driver's license for all is the bare minimum we are asking. We are going to continue to fight for equality for all, regardless of immigration status. And with that, I introduce Representative Maria Isa Perez. Thank you.
Thank you. Buenos dias. Good afternoon. My name is Representative Maria Isa Perez Vega. I represent the District of 65B, St. Paul and West St. Paul, the first Latino communities in this state of Minnesota that opened its arm to so many diverse immigrant communities. 2003, we flash back, but we're here in 2023, and we're flashing forward. And we're flashing forward a decision that is for our immigrant community, a decision that is for all of our Minnesotans, a decision for our children to not have to live with this mental trauma, who are citizens, and depending on whether their families are gonna be able to take them to an emergency room or safely pick them up from school, a decision in flashing forward to make justice right for those families that have been working for this state of Minnesota to make it how great it is today. Needs to be better, and HF4 makes it better. It makes it better for our entire community. We like to highlight the immigrant community because this is what this bill is for. This is what this law is for. But let's also highlight that this is a bill that is for all Minnesotans' public safety, all Minnesotans coming together, fighting for one Minnesota. So I'd like to thank all of the organizers who have been fighting for this, those that are here, those that are not. Maria Cisneros, part of the White House history that happened with, yes, like Emilia stated, women of color, women who are mothers and sisters and daughters, women who carry the household, okay, women that just want security, feeling safe. This is a safety mission for, yes, public, but also for inside the homes as well. Inside those homes that are gonna create the new leadership of what Minnesota is gonna look like in the future, and we want a better future, and that's what HF4 is doing. To all those who have been impacted by this for 2 decades, including those who are not immigrants, myself. Back in 2003, I got to study to take a driver's exam and pass, and my friends and my community members alongside didn't get that opportunity if they didn't have that privilege of being a citizen. You became the driver. You became the person that feared that they might get pulled over, and so you don't want them to drive illegally. Well, we're flashing forward to 2023, like Air Jordan 23, right? That's what my students call it. Let's get the dunk in, and we're gonna bring the dunk from the House, and we're gonna move it to the Senate, and we're gonna get this to the governors. And it's gonna be a long one today, but hopefully not, right, Ornstein? But, and I mentioned our leaders because they have been carrying this, and now Representative Gomez and I have, this in our hands to give it the little push forward, but this isn't just our push. This is a push of full force of comunidad. This is village, this is barrio, this is our farms. This is for everyone to take that impact as a win together. Muchas gracias. Thank you. And with that, I'd like to now introduce Speaker Melissa Hortman. Gracias.
I'll be brief. Good afternoon. I want to start by thanking all those who have worked on this legislation over many, many years. Former Representative Karen Clark is here, but Representative Gomez, Representative Perez Vega, and the incredible coalition of organizations have been working to build the coalition needed to pass this bill. This coalition has never stopped fighting, even with setbacks along the way, and we are now on the precipice of making this law in Minnesota. I'd like to also extend my gratitude to former Majority Leader Ryan Winkler, who worked on this bill over the last 4 years, and his incredible staff who've brought us to the point where we can get it done today. One of my proudest, but yet most heartbreaking moments as a legislator and as Speaker of the House was when we passed this bill in 2019. Immigrants from all over the state came here, testified, shared their stories, which we shared on the House floor. We passed the bill that day, and we had Republicans leading the Senate. And as soon as the bill passed, folks asked me to come on out and celebrate with the community. And first, I had to go back in the retiring room and cry my eyes out because I knew how hard it was going to be for me to try to convince Republicans to do this. And today, I won't be crying. Today, I'll be going right out with the community and celebrating because I have every confidence that this will also pass in the Minnesota Senate and that our governor will sign this bill into law. All Minnesotans deserve to be able to work and to take care of themselves and their families. Ensuring that everyone has access to driver's licenses will improve public safety for all of us. It will help us grow the state economy and, so importantly, to treat immigrant communities with the dignity and respect that they deserve. And with that, we'll open it up to on-topic questions.
What's been the main barrier to trying to mark these licenses as special licenses? I know that's been the Republican attempted amendment, but why not put a special marking on them to distinguish them from a citizen's license?
So you're asking what the barrier is. I would say that the barrier to offering a second-class credential is that it would be a second-class credential, and that's not what we're trying to do here. The decision about this policy doesn't belong to Representative Perez-Vega and I or to the House of Representatives. This policy belongs to the community. And so they made a decision about that. And, we feel very strongly that the rhetoric about voting, about benefits, it doesn't actually align with reality. And so it introduces kind of topics that I believe personally are red herrings. I think that the concern is genuine, and we're going to talk through that on the floor, no doubt, today. But the fact of the matter is that a driver's license does not indicate that you're a citizen of this country in Minnesota. Many, many people who are not citizens of this country and who do not have access to voting rights are able to drive legally. So we're adding to that pool. That's what we're doing. Thank you.
And so the only limitation then is that they will not be a real ID compliant. Is that right? I thought I heard DVS say that.
Yeah, so we have three kinds of IDs in Minnesota. We have enhanced ID, real ID, and your what's called a non-compliant or Class D driver's license. The policy that we're going to pass today only applies to the non-compliant or Class D driver's license, not the enhanced or real ID.
What have you heard from the farming community? I know that when we've visited farms on stories in the past, they've said this is a big issue for them, that they need their people to be able to drive to work legally.
We've heard directly from human rights commissioners in Northfield who may had disagreed with voting for it 5 years ago, okay, that are in agreement of needing to support HF4 because their workers are vulnerable. And the children of those workers and the community's children are vulnerable to being in a state of emergency and their families not being able to get them the transportation into those services. Specifically with the community of Northfield, who heard at their city hall just last month that a family was in need and they were in need of an ambulance and they ran, past before that emergency aid could get there. So that's coming from our farming communities and our farmers and those who are in agreement with pushing this forward now.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing to Representative Perez-Vega's statements. I know that our communications director, Matt Rosnowski, who's in the room somewhere, has packets of letters for the media, which will show you sort of the breadth and depth of this coalition that has been built by the immigrant rights advocates that you see behind me. In that packet, you'll see a letter from the Chamber of Commerce, Agri-Growth, the milk producers, the cooperative network, is that? The cooperative network. We've heard, as Representative Perez-Vega said, resoundingly from our agricultural community, that immigrants help feed Minnesota. Immigrants help bring food to our tables in so many different ways. And to say that it's okay for them for immigrant labor to help bring food to our table, to enrich business owners, but to not allow them the dignity of being able to drive legally to these jobs where we need them, it's a contradiction, and it's not, and that's why we have seen such just such clear and consistent support from the agricultural community for HF4.
We have time for just one more.
Madam Speaker, you've seen the technique or the tactic has been to punish you guys for doing a bill they don't like with amendments that go on forever. Are there any limits to that or any guardrails to that?
Well, I will say so far, the Minnesota House GOP has not engaged in those kind of tactics that we saw in the Senate on the 15-hour debate on the PRO Act. And I think that Leader Damath and Assistant Leader Torkelson deserve a lot of credit for having legitimate disagreements with the policies that we would pursue, but bringing those to press conferences and not simply making parliamentary maneuvers to delay the work of the House of Representatives. There are tools in the toolbox that protect the rights of the majority to govern and protect the rights of the minority to be heard. And I expect both of those rights will be respected in this legislative session.
Thank you.
Thank you.